What's up, you friggin' geniuses? So, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to simplify absolute value expressions, okay? And in case you need an intro into absolute values, I will link that in the card above. But if you're good, let's just jump into these examples, shall we? All right, so if I give you this problem right here, what if I asked you, what is the absolute value of x? And I told you that x is equal to 5. How would we solve this? Well, all we're doing is taking the absolute value of x, right? And I'm telling you that x is equal to 5. So that means I'm going to plug in a 5 right here for x. So instead of having the absolute value of x, I'm going to have the absolute value of 5, okay? So what is the absolute value of 5? Well, this would simply be 5, okay? So that would be your answer. Let's try another one. What if I asked you, what is the absolute value of y? And I told you that y is equal to -8. Okay, so in this case, I'm telling you y is -8. So that means I'm going to plug in -8 for y right here. Okay, so instead of having the absolute value of y, I'm going to have the absolute value of -8. Okay, so what is the absolute value of -8? Remember, whenever we take the absolute value of any number in here, it always comes out positive, okay? So the absolute value of -8 would just be 8, okay? So that would be your answer. Okay, so let's try a couple more. Now, what if I wanted to know what the absolute value of n was? But this time, I'm going to put a negative sign out here in front of the absolute value part. So notice this negative sign is not inside of these absolute value bars, right? This thing is out here in front by itself. So now let's say that n is equal to 12. So how would I simplify this? Well, I'm being told that n is equal to 12, so that means I'm going to plug in 12 for n right here. Okay, so let's rewrite this. So now we're going to have the absolute value of 12. But again, I have this negative sign out here in front, right? So let's bring that down too. Okay, so how would I evaluate this? Well, let's start with the easy part. What's the absolute value of 12? Well, that would just be 12, right? Now, what happens with this negative sign? Well, it doesn't just disappear because it's not in between these absolute value bars. It is out here in front, unaffected by these absolute value bars. Okay, so we keep it. So your answer would be -12. Okay, let's try another one. What if I wanted to know the absolute value of p? And I'm telling you that p is equal to -7. Okay, and again, I'm going to put a negative sign out here in front. So how would we evaluate this? Well, let's just start with what we know. So I'm telling you that p is equal to -7. So that means I'm going to plug in -7 for p right here. Okay, so let's rewrite that. So we're going to have the absolute value of -7. Okay, and this negative sign out here in front, I'm going to bring it down also. Okay, and it's still out here in front. Now, how would we evaluate this? Well, again, let's just start with what we know. What is the absolute value of -7? Well, the absolute value of -7 would just be 7, right? So as you can see, this negative sign right here disappeared. But we have this other negative sign out here in front outside of the absolute value bars, right? So this negative sign doesn't disappear like this negative sign did. So again, like in the last example, we keep it. So your answer would be -7. Okay, here's another one. What if we had the absolute value of 8 minus y? And I'm going to tell you that y is equal to 12. So in this case, I'm telling you that y is 12, so I'm going to plug in 12 for y right there. So this is going to simplify down to the absolute value of 8 minus, right, minus 12. 12. All right, now we can simplify this a little bit. What's 8 minus 12? Well, that's going to be -4. Okay, and now let's bring down our absolute value bars. Let's bring those down. So now we're left with the absolute value of -4. So what is the absolute value of -4? That's just 4, right? Because this negative sign right here is inside of these absolute value bars. That's why it basically just kind of disappears. So we're just left with 4. Okay, and one more problem for good measure. Let's say we had h minus 4, the absolute value of h minus 4. And I told you that h is equal to -3. And again, I'm going to add a negative sign right there. So how would we simplify this? Well, again, always start with what you know. We know that h is equal to -3, right? So I'm going to plug in a -3 for h right here. So now I'm going to have the absolute value of -3 minus 4. Okay, and again, this negative sign is out here in front, so we're going to bring it down too. All right, now we can simplify what's inside right here. So what's -3 minus 4? That would be -7, okay? And again, let's bring down these absolute value bars. So the absolute value bars. And lastly, let's bring down this negative sign out here in front. Okay, so now we have the negative absolute value of -7. So how would we solve this? Well, let's start with what's inside of these absolute value bars. So what's the absolute value of -7? Well, this negative sign right here basically just goes away, right? So we're just left with 7. But remember, we had this negative sign out here in front. It's not affected by the absolute value bars, so we keep it. So our answer is -7. All right, guys, so that's how you simplify absolute value expressions. I hope the video was helpful. If it was, definitely leave a thumbs up down below. That's always appreciated. And if you still got any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to try and help you out. Also, there's a pre-algebra playlist attached at the end of the video, so if there's anything else you need to check out, definitely check those out, and I'll see you there.